So we need to get something out of the way right off the top here. As you can probably tell by my accent, I am American, and that might disqualify me from giving my opinion on soccer, or as football most of the world calls it, but I'm going to keep calling it soccer because that's what we call it here in America. But I really wanted to give my opinion on the World Cup and just some thoughts, but then really go into what I think it really means for soccer in America. And if it does have an impact on if we can really, catapult ourselves to being one of those top teams that might actually have a chance of winning a World Cup at some time in the future. Since COVID, I've become a bigger fan of soccer, right? It kind of stopped, COVID stopped all sports, and I needed something to watch because I was an early riser in the morning. And what was on in the morning? The EPL. So I started watching soccer then. I'll get this out of the way too. I am an Arsenal fan. Did not jump on the bandwagon when we won the league this past year. I think the first year, I'm pretty sure when we finished, was in 8th place, so out of Europe entirely. So I've been here with the Mikel Arteta ride. Everyone who wanted Arteta out, I was like, no, we're building something here. We're building something, and we finally built to that goal this past season, winning the Premier League. So that's a little bit of my background in soccer. When it comes to World Cups, I really got into the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar because I was like, America missed out in 2018. Maybe we'll actually have a chance to do something in 2022. We kind of really didn't. We just got to where we usually always get to. But that was like the first real World Cup where I watched most of the games. My earliest World Cup memory that I have is, I'm sorry, Brazilian fans, but it was Germany beating the crap out of you guys 7-1. I went into that game thinking like, Brazil is the best team in the world. And then Germany just absolutely stomped them. And that's where I really fell in love with one of my first players, Thomas Muller. He was one of my favorite players. I just loved the way he created, was able to score goals. It was like, wow, soccer isn't just this boring sport that it's going to finish 1-0, 2-1 every time, and they're just going to dribble up and down the field. Or pitch, I should call it, sorry. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this past World Cup. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing for Americans. I thought it was amazing for the world. I know a lot of Europeans didn't like the time schedule. Cry about it, get over it. Like I said, I've been getting up at 6 a.m. to watch the EPL for the past 5 years. So deal with it. In the final, the best team won. Spain was by far and away a better team than Argentina. Argentina was playing hero ball, like just dramatic March Madness Cinderella run type stuff throughout all of the knockouts. They had a really good group stage, but then when it got to the knockouts, they almost got knocked out. Well, not almost, because they were either having lead or tied against Cape Verde. But since that point, late dramatic comeback winners. England, Thomas Tuchel, did exactly what Southgate does. Park the bus, lose in the final minutes. I'm not saying I was happy as an American seeing England lose, but it was heartbreaking. I could tell for English fans the way they lose, thinking they have a new coach coming in, changing the tactics, being different, just to play Southgate ball in the semifinal. But in that final, Argentina reverted back to being a South American team. They reverted to being Paraguay against France. We're just going to foul the crap out of you, hope this game gets the penalties, keep it a scrappy game, and try to get a win that way, the way Paraguay did against Germany. They couldn't do it against France. Argentina couldn't do it against Spain. And that's just because Spain was the best team. Throughout this tournament, defense wins championships, and Spain had the best defense. 1 goal in 8 matches. 1 goal in 8 matches. That's absolutely insane. With a 19-year-old playing center back. With Unai Simon being on crack sometimes, just running out there. That run that he had, that tackle he had on Messi, or that clearance, I should say, when Messi was almost one-on-one with him, but he got to the ball first. I was like, Unai, you're crazy, but that was a beautiful play. But Spain was a full team, and the way that they were able to just control and hold the ball, I think that really was the cornerstone of their defense. It wasn't because their center backs were fantastic, which, I mean, they were. Their Cucurella and Porro played great, I thought. A lot better than I expected them to play, but their defense came from them just holding the ball, and when they did lose the ball and turnover in possession, they just swarm, and Argentina could barely get 2-3 touch or passes together to then move the ball up the field because Spain had already gotten the ball back. And when it went into extra time, I was rooting for Spain. I was rooting for Spain, I will admit that right now, so I'm happy that they won. But as it got into extra time, I'm like, Messi's going to pull off some magic again. He's going to do something that he's been doing all tournament. He's going to make a crazy pass, make a crazy play, get right outside the box and just curl it in with his left foot like he has been doing all tournament. And then Spain scored coming out of coming out of the half to the second half of extra time when Porro flicked that cross in to Nico Williams' head, who glanced that header back to Ferran Torres, who then shot a rocket past Emi Martinez into the top of the net, giving Spain that 1-0 lead. I was like, football's going to win today. But let me tell you, the last was because they scored basically in the first 30 seconds. The last 13 minutes of that second half of extra time, I was on the front of my seat because I was just expecting Argentina to score. There was not a single part of my body that got till the final whistle blew where I didn't think Argentina was going to score and or tie that game or even win that game, just like they did against England. I'm sorry, English fans, for bringing that up again. But the magic and craziness that they had, because growing up, I was a Ronaldo guy, but I think it is inarguably Messi is the greatest player to ever play soccer. Now, you might be able to say like Pele and Maradona, but if you're going Ronaldo, Messi has stepped up and cleared, I think, Ronaldo. And that hurts me to say because I've been a Ronaldo guy growing up. And then when he would whip a cross in, when he had that pass to, I forgot who was running down the line, and then they did a cross down I was going to say baseline, but that's basketball. But they crossed it in and Mikel Moreno cleared the ball. Or when Simeone, leaning back, has a shot that with the Argentina magic probably would have gone in. It probably would have cleared all the traffic and gone into the back and the entire game. He skies it. And I'm just sitting there, hands in my face, like, oh my God, blow the final whistle. Because if I'm being honest, it kind of seemed like Spain was sitting back a little bit. They were allowing Argentina to get on the ball more. And Argentina definitely was playing with more of a sense of urgency, it seemed like. They're like, hey, we shouldn't give this much respect to Spain. We are just as good of a team, even though Spain clearly showed why they were the best team in the world. But then they started playing with the ball more. They started getting it to Messi in those wide areas. He started putting in crosses. He started using his dribbles. And there was not a single moment where I thought that game was over until they blew the final whistle. I think two things were, when it comes to the final awards, you couldn't argue. I probably should have looked up. Hold on, we're going to look this up. So for the awards, I think Pau Kabassi, the 19-year-old center back, he completely deserved to win the young player of the tournament. If Yamal was on the scoring record that like Haaland, Mbappe, Messi were on, Kane and Bellingham, got to include them too, I think he definitely would have won young player of the tournament. But Cabarsi being a part of the greatest defense in World Cup history, he totally deserved that. I think Unai Simon allowing 1 goal in 8 matches, the most matches ever played in a World Cup tournament, allowing the least amount of goals, that's absolutely insane. He definitely deserves the Golden Glove. We'll get onto the Golden Boot here in a minute, but then when it comes to the Golden Ball, I know a lot of people thought Messi should have won that. I could see the argument, but what Rodri did for that Spanish defense, again, like I said, I don't think their defense was so excellent because of their center backs and fullbacks. I think it was excellent because of the way they controlled possession of the ball, and that starts with the heartbeat of that team, and that's Rodri in the defensive midfield. Every time he got on the ball, he made the right pass. Every time someone was dribbling up, he would go and close him out and get that ball and then control the pace of the team. Although he wasn't flashy on the score sheets, he was the heartbeat of that defense for Spain, and I could totally agree with him getting the Golden Ball. Now when it comes to the Golden Boot, and this is the third place game in general, America, we don't have third place games, right? So this is kind of a foreign concept to us. But it was a great game. I watched that game. I was going and expecting the teams to play like France did in the first half, play like England did to start the second half, just not give don't want to swear, don't want to get demonetized, not to give a crap, as then I swore. But the way that the Golden Boot can be affected by third place games doesn't sit right with me. I know in the past, a lot of the Golden Boot races has been won in these third place games, but FIFA's not necessarily known for being the most morally right or wanting to rely on history. I feel like organization, I should say, nonprofit organization, by the way. So I think that could be something that they could change. Just make the your goals in the third place game not necessarily count towards the Golden Boot. I know that's going to then affect, Kylian Mbappe then is the second all time on the goal scorer for a World Cup behind Messi because he scored those goals that then surpassed Messi for the most goals in a World Cup appearances. Or he has now the most goals in World Cup history There we go. Gosh, that took a lot to say there. But the third place game was awesome. They definitely should not get rid of it. That's the type of soccer I think that us Americans like to see and want to see. Just going up and down the pitch, scoring goals, scoring bangers. Bukayo Saka, again, England, I'm sorry, didn't play a single minute in that Argentina game. Scores a hat trick, our Arsenal star boy. Jude Bellingham securing that win, making it 6-4 instead of dribbling it out to the corner. To puts on some moves, dribbles, puts in the back of the net. That third place game was awesome to watch. I just don't know if the stats should count towards the big awards because every other game is working towards winning the tournament. This is the only game that's not working towards being crowned the champion of the world. Now, when it comes to my American team, the hype that was behind this team, I think, could not be described. 4-1 against Paraguay in the first game. And then you go in, the most one-sided beef in history is Australia versus the United States, where they think about us all the time, and we couldn't care about them. We go in and win 2-0. Turkey game, we're not going to talk about. Would have been nice to get that draw, but the last-second winner, we already secured first place. We already secured our way into the round of 32. They were just playing for pride at that point, Turkey A, sorry. Because I honestly thought Paraguay totally overperformed what I thought they were going to do. Australia made it to the round of 16 in the last World Cup, so they're a good squad. Turkey was projected by a lot of people to win our group. I, of course, thought America was going to win the group, but I thought Turkey was going to finish second, Australia third, Paraguay in fourth. So losing that game, if it was the first game, I would totally understand it. But it being the third game where they were absolutely terrible against Paraguay and Australia, I can see why American fans could be upset going into the round of 32. And then we get a European side in Bosnia and Herzegovina. USA versus European teams, not good. The last time we beat a European team was Bosnia and Herzegovina in the early 2010s, I believe it is, or it could have been 2018. I'm not 100% sure. And, Flo has a couple offside goals. He finally gets the goal. He gets the red card. Do I think it was a red card? No. Just take a look at what Messi did, and he didn't get carded for that earlier in the group stage. That's the end I'm going to put to that. And we're down to 10 men. And I'm worried because the one thing that can change a game completely is set pieces, and Bosnia-Herzegovina is one of the tallest teams in the tournament. So that means set pieces are going to be really strong for them. But we suffer it out. We get a free kick in a goal-scoring position. And something that us Americans have not had, I feel like, is that guy, or like the thought of a guy being able to score those free kicks when you need one. And Malik Tillman putting that ball in the back of the net in the free kick, making it 2-0, basically securing the fact that we're going to go on to the round of 16. That joy I had as an American was amazing. I'm like, oh my God, we might actually be a different team going into this. Then we get to the round of 32. That was embarrassing. The most watched game in U.S. soccer history was an absolute embarrassment against Belgium. Belgium, the last legs of their golden generation, went out there and showed us why they still had a golden generation in general. I knew it would be difficult because of Thibaut Courtois, who goalies, he's arguably the best in the world, and having to go against him was going to be tough, but then the rest of the team just absolutely showed why that they were a golden generation and that at any moment they could turn it on and be one of the best teams in the world. So going out in the round of 16 like that, it was not a success, I feel like, for the U.S. men's team. But when it comes to soccer in America, I think it was a success. I think this tournament, the way the team played up to that point, just the games in general, being in a time zone where most of America would be watching the games, is going to bring soccer to more Americans out there. I know there's a lot to talk about when it comes to pay to play. We're not giving the most opportunities to our youth to play and develop soccer once they get past like the really basic camps, because we don't really have good coaching at the grassroots level. We don't have a pyramid system like you do in England and other countries. We basically have MLS, where promotion and relegation is a foreign concept to us. So there are definitely things that need to get fixed on that side. But in general, I think we're going to have more kids being like, oh, I want to play soccer instead of football, basketball, baseball. So I think it was a very big success for American soccer. Now, this needs to be a wake-up call to the MLS, because the MLS, and this is me using my American brain to compare it, is not a top five, like it's never going to be a top 5 league. Like you have England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, even though where's Italy been the past 3 World Cups? MLS is like Pac-12 after dark. It's going to be crazy games, crazy plays are happening, crazy outcomes. It's just going to not look like the beautiful game. It's going to look like two California teams who are playing for a 6-6 record, and they're just throwing shots, playing bad defense. They're going to have a play where the receiver bounces off his head into the hands of another receiver to get blown up and for a fumble, and the defense is going to return it for a touchdown. Craziness is going to happen. And this was just shown as the MLS started getting kicked off again in the Inter Miami Chicago Fire game, where the first goal scored in that game was a Miami defender kicking the ball back to the goalkeeper. And what does he do? Swing and a miss. Own goal of Miami. Chicago Fire takes a 1-0 lead. That is the essence of Pac-12 after dark, which is probably now the ACC after dark, but college football is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So I think the MLS really needs to it's going to be hard to reshape how they are because it's a relatively new league. They started, I think, it was the 98 World Cup was the last time it was in America, 98, 94. Again, my knowledge, not 100% the best. But I think we need promotion relegation. I think we need more tiers in the pyramid. I think we need a better way for the youth development within our big clubs. I think we need to bring in more talent from overseas, but not when they're in the twilight years. I know we can't pay the same as Saudi, but getting those players that are like 25, 26, 27 to come over from Europe to play in the MLS will help grow the league. And I'm pretty sure they have a deal with Apple TV, which is probably giving them a lot of money, but not everyone has Apple TV. You need a way to get your game out there to more people. But I'm not getting paid the big bucks to fix the MLS. But those are just kind of my thoughts on what the MLS needs to do. As a whole, again, this World Cup was awesome. I'm very excited for the World Cup in Morocco, Portugal, and Spain with those like Centennial games in South America. I think it's Argentina. And there's two other, I don't know the two other countries, but it's going to be a great World Cup. I hope the USA could get their stuff together and we could start, build, get past the round of 16, making it in the quarterfinals, maybe surprise a team, but we're going to have a lot to work to do. We're not going to be a pot one team unless we can win some gold cups or something like that. Because with there being, technically 6 host nations, 12 groups, we're going to need to work our way into the top 10 if we want to be a pot one team. Otherwise, we're not going to have an easy draw like we did this World Cup. But I'm hopeful, and the hope might kill me, but we have 4 years to wait and see.